PSG just won back-to-back Champions League titles, 2 in a row, only the second club in the entire Champions League era to pull that off. This should make every football purist furious. They did it without Lionel Messi, without Neymar, without Kylian Mbappé, not despite losing football's 3 biggest stars, because they lost them. Messi, Neymar, Mbappé, gone. All of them walked out the door within 2 consecutive summer windows, and the football world declared the project dead on arrival. Think about that for a second. For over a decade, Paris Saint-Germain spent billions assembling the most star-studded front 3 the sport has ever seen, and it turned them into an international punchline, regularly stumbling in the knockout stages when expectations were highest. And now? Now they've got a trophy room that shames the Galactico era completely, built on a starting 11 with an average age of 25 years and 96 days. One of the youngest teams to win a Champions League final in recent memory. So how does a club with a €729 million wage bill accidentally build a dynasty by getting rid of its superstars? The rebuild started with a decision almost nobody wanted to make. Start with the money, because you need to see how absurd this used to be. During the 2021-22 season, PSG's annual wage bill hit €729 million. Not total spending, just wages, for 1 year. That number funded a front 3 of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappé, 3 players who, individually, could dismantle any team on the planet. Together, they imploded on the biggest stages, over and over again. For a club with more financial firepower than almost anyone in the sport, restraint was never supposed to be part of the plan. April 2023. Messi skips a scheduled training session to fly to Saudi Arabia for a sponsorship trip. No permission. No heads up. Football advisor Luis Campos and club president Nasser Al-Khelaifi don't hesitate. They suspend him. They cut his pay. The suspension sent a direct message to an entire dressing room that had been running the show for years. The era of untouchable stars writing their own rules was over. 2 months later, Messi's contract expires and he walks. June 2023. On July 5th, Luis Enrique arrives as head coach, replacing Christophe Galtier. By August, Neymar is gone too, sold to Saudi club Al Hilal for around €90 million. 2/3 of the most expensive attack in football history gone in a single summer. The press called it a collapse. Behind the scenes, it was a fundamental shift, ending the superstar era. Strip out the individual brands. Build something that actually functions as a team. Nobody believed it. Why would they? PSG had spent a decade proving that stars were the entire strategy. Then came the one departure everyone assumed would kill the project completely. June 2024. Kylian Mbappé, the last of the 3, leaves Paris Saint-Germain as a free agent to join Real Madrid. No transfer fee. 0. And behind that clean headline sat a nasty legal fight over €60 million in unpaid wages and bonuses PSG allegedly owed him. Ugly. Public. Not the tidy farewell anyone imagined. Reporters asked Luis Enrique what came next. He didn't panic. He didn't spin some corporate line about rebuilding. He said PSG would sign hungry players, different players, and become stronger. Stronger. After losing Mbappé, online, people mocked him, actually laughed at him. Screenshots everywhere, ridiculing the coach who thought losing the best player alive was somehow an opportunity. He turned out to be right. And that's the part almost nobody wants to admit. That mocked prophecy laid the groundwork for everything that followed. Subscribe to this channel, because PSG turned that laughter into a dominant 2-year run. Here's what people got wrong about this rebuild. They assumed a team without global superstars had to play scared, sit deep, grind out results. The opposite happened. Luis Enrique built a system based on suffocating possession and a press so aggressive that PSG will sometimes kick the ball out of bounds at kickoff on purpose, just to trigger an immediate ambush the second the opponent takes the throw-in. That's not caution, that's control. Every player on the pitch had to run, press, and cover for each other, because there was no individual brilliance left to bail anyone out. No superstar to hand the ball to and hope. Just a machine, built piece by piece, with a young talent named Désiré Doué quietly becoming its most dangerous part. May 31st, 2025. The Allianz Arena in Munich. PSG France had heard of 2 years earlier. Désiré Doué scores twice and sets up a third. He was 19 years and 362 days old at the time. That performance challenges historical European Cup milestones dating back to 1962, when Eusebio scored a brace in a European Cup final at 20 years and 97 days old. Doué beats him by around 100 days. At the final whistle, Doué collapses onto the grass, not celebrating, crying, actually sobbing, clutching his Player of the Match award like he can't process what just happened. Neither could the rest of football. This wasn't supposed to be the plan that worked. Remember that €729 million wage bill? Gone. Slashed. The club that once needed a fortune to field 3 egos on one pitch just won the biggest trophy in the sport with a squad costing a fraction of that to run. This was pure strategy. Every euro not spent chasing one more global superstar got redirected into scouting, into academy development, into buying players in their early 20s who still had something left to prove. That's the part that just buy trophies critics never wanted to hear. The most star-studded era in PSG's history faced years of European heartbreak. A more balanced, team-first squad produced a European crown. But this wasn't some flawless fairy tale, and anyone telling you it was is lying. Weeks after Munich, PSG heads to the United States for the newly expanded 32-team 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. In the semifinal, they demolish Real Madrid 4-0. Statement made, apparently. Then the final, July 23rd, 2025. Fictional match reference removed. No excuses, no asterisk. Fictional match reference removed. That loss mattered. It proved the Anti-Galactico project wasn't some unbeatable formula. It was a team, made of humans, capable of a bad night, just like anyone else. 5 months later, they had to prove their resilience again. If PSG's rebuild is messing with everything you thought you knew about buying trophies, take a second and hit like right now. It genuinely helps get this in front of more people. December 17th, 2025, Qatar. PSG faces Flamengo in the FIFA Intercontinental Cup final, and this time the story belongs to a goalkeeper most fans had written off. Safonov, who stepped up as the starting goalkeeper after Donnarumma's departure, doubted constantly, dismissed by pundits who figured he was just there to hold a clipboard. Regulation ends level. Penalties. Sends professional footballers under maximum pressure in a shootout deciding a trophy. PSG wins 2-1 and completes something no club had ever managed before across a single calendar year, a sextuple. 6 trophies. 2025. The kid nobody trusted became the reason it happened. That's not luck. That's what happens when a system trusts its depth instead of panicking every time a star walks out the door. Look at the numbers behind that pressing system and it stops looking like an accident. Across the 2025-26 Champions League campaign, midfielder Vitinha covers 197.1 kilometers, more ground than any other player in the entire competition. Right back, Achraf Hakimi records 217 sprints across the same tournament, second only to Vinicius Jr. Compare that to an attack built around 3 stationary superstars waiting for a flash of magic. There's no comparison. This roster runs teams into the ground before it ever needs a single moment of individual brilliance. The engine is the star now, not any one name on the shirt. May 30th, 2026. Puskás Arena, Budapest. PSG defends its Champions League title against Arsenal, and this final refuses to stay simple. 1-1 after 90 minutes. 1-1 after extra time. It comes down to penalties, and PSG survives 4-3. Vitinha, the same midfielder who covered more ground than anyone in the Champions League all season, gets named man of the match. Back-to-back European champions. Only the second club in the Champions League era to manage that. 2 years earlier, this same club faced skepticism after losing its biggest stars. 2 years later, they're doing something almost nobody in the history of this competition pulls off twice in a row. Remember Enrique's line about signing hungry players and getting stronger? Stronger. He meant every word, reading a plan out loud that turned out to be exactly right. So what actually changed here? It's not complicated. PSG historically bought finished products before shifting its focus to young, high-potential talent. Global names already carrying enormous expectations, enormous salaries, enormous egos that made every locker room decision a negotiation. One player skips training for a paid trip abroad, and the whole operation has to tiptoe around it because he's bigger than the club he plays for. That stopped being acceptable in April 2023, and it never came back. Every signing since has been about hunger over headlines, fit over fame. Nobody on this current roster is bigger than the badge. When's the last time PSG made headlines for a dressing room scandal instead of a trophy? You can't remember, can you? That's the whole point. This should terrify every club still betting its entire season on 1 or 2 superstar signings to save it. Real Madrid, Manchester City, Barcelona, take note. The current European champion isn't the team with the most famous front 3. It's the team that got rid of its front 3 and built 40 different ways to hurt you instead. Doué, Vitinha, Hakimi, Safonov, none of them were the finished, marketable global brand Messi or Neymar or Mbappe already was when Paris signed them. All of them turned out to matter more. So back to the question from the start. How does a club with a €729 million wage bill accidentally build a dynasty by getting rid of its own superstars? It doesn't happen by accident at all. It happens because somebody in that building decided talent without humility was a liability, and had the nerve to prove it by suspending the greatest player alive over one skipped training session. Every trophy since traces back to that single decision in May 2023, the Champions League in Munich, the Intercontinental Cup in Qatar, the next European campaign. None of it happens if Campos and Al-Khelaifi blink. None of it happens if Luis Enrique caves to the noise after Mbappe walked out the door and got mocked online for his response. The football world spent years insisting you need untouchable stars to win the biggest trophies in the sport. PSG just spent 3 years proving the opposite. One shootout, one teenager, one overworked midfielder at a time. And the most uncomfortable part for every rival club watching? This roster is still getting younger. So was the Anti-Galactico project brilliant foresight? Or did this club just get lucky twice with a 19-year-old and a backup goalkeeper who caught fire at exactly the right moment? You decide. But multiple trophies over consecutive seasons is a strange kind of luck to keep repeating. What do you think actually wins football now? Star power, or the kind of ruthless, unglamorous system this club built out of a dressing room decision that costed its 3 biggest names? Drop your take in the comments, because this argument isn't finished. If this story changed how you see this club, or any club still chasing one more superstar signing instead of building something that lasts, like this video and subscribe. There's a lot more behind these trophies than the highlight reels ever show you. If this story changed how you see this club, or any club still chasing one more superstar signing instead of building something that lasts, like this video and subscribe. There's a lot more behind these trophies than the highlight reels ever show you.